Hello everyone, welcome back to another Thoughts on Books video. Today I am going to be doing The Catcher in the Rye. This is my favorite book of all time, period. Let's jump right in. I read this book basically only because I had seen it in a movie, Conspiracy Theory, where the dude is like OCD or whatever and he just buys this book every time he sees it. He has to do it. Didn't know anything about this, so I saw that it was on a lot of like best book of all time lists, and I read it. And when I initially read it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, my cat is being tortured," but that's okay because we're doing a video. When I initially read it, I was like, "What did I just read? I don't quite understand like the point of what just happened." But over the course of time, its meaning and just double entendres and everything kind of jumped out at me, and it's become a huge book for me because it has huge themes in it. It has humanity, social aspects, what it means to interact with other people, youth, identity, coming of age, a lot of huge human elements in this book. That didn't quite jump out to me initially, but upon, reflection, a lot of it really did. So, just kind of talking a little bit about the plot. It revolves around a young man named Holden Caulfield. He is recounting what's happening in the book. So he's telling it like, this happened in the past. Let me tell you about this story that happened to me. He basically quits school and chills in New York for a few days. That's pretty much all the book is. He's in New York on his own for like 3 days before he has to go home. And that's what all this is. It takes place in New York over 3 days. 3 days? I think it's 3 days. But, it's just this, just things happen to him. It's like it's really small text. It's a simple little book. Super tiny. The only book J.D. Salinger ever wrote. It's amazing. Holden Caulfield is he's a cynic. There's a lot of things he dislikes. He thinks he's older than he is the thing. And he kind of gets that handed back to him a little bit later. He's an older person in a young person's body, and that kind of catches up with him. But he gets in all sorts of situations that tests, like I said, those themes, like what it means to be friends with someone, what it means to interact with people, being out in the world on your own, stuff like that. Just a lot of different elements. It ends on a kind of melancholy note, but it gives you a lot to think about. Like I said, this is my favorite book of all time. I love it a lot. J.D. Salinger didn't want it to be a movie. He's dead now. I don't know if they're going to make it into a movie, if they'll ever get the rights. I kind of hope they don't. But at the same time, like, if this movie was done right, it'd be a really interesting watch. So, I give it, like, a personal 10 out of 10. I loved it a lot. I'm going to jump into kind of some spoilery stuff now. So, Holden Caulfield, he quit school, and he just kind of hangs out in New York for a little while. Gets into some mischief. A lot of really interesting scenarios that happen to him. You got the thing with, I think it was the pimp and the whore. I forget. I think that was the thing. It was a long time since I read this. And then the thing where he stays at the night at the guy's house. He gets in contact with that girl from his past. Just a lot of different things happen, and they all have their own individual, like, almost metaphors going on with them. It's really fascinating. And then the book ends with him watching his sister on a carousel, and he just starts crying like crazy. Just like for no reason. And it's kind of at that point in the book where you realize, like, this whole time he's trying to be an adult, and he he wants to be the catcher in the rye, which is basically he's hiding in a rye field where all these kids are playing, and they occasionally wander too close to the edge of a cliff, and he reaches out to catch them if they fall, and throws them back into the rye. And he's the catcher in the rye. He's like, I don't really know what that means, but that's what I want to do. That's what I feel. So it's kind of a metaphorical thing. A lot of people think that the cliff is adulthood, and the kids, they kind of fall into adulthood, and basically the child dies and they become adults. And he doesn't want that. And all throughout this book, he kind of contradicts himself. He does this, he does that. He's a cynic. I think he smokes. He's just like kind of this almost rebellious type in a way, sort of a lost soul. And then he sees his sister on the carousel with his hat, and he's just thinking like, well, oh my gosh, what have I been? It's just this epiphany hits him. It's really strong and crazy. And the really interesting thing about why this book I think is a classic is the element of Holden Caulfield telling this from his past, or present, from telling it from the past in the present. He had gone to like a mental ward or whatever. It's hinted at. I don't even know where it is in the book that he talks about it. I don't know how close it is to the end, but how I got sick and all. I could probably tell you what I did after I went home and how I got sick and all. Kind of like a mental thing, and he's telling about it. Yeah, so that kind of adds a whole thing. So you have this extra add-on to the story of, you have to remember that all these things that you're reading about, Holden is recounting from his present self, which is kind of interesting. It's funny. Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. So even though he had like technically bad experiences with all these different people, he misses them. He misses those experiences because they had an impact on his life. So yeah, just a lot of big themes in this small book. Definitely give it a read. There is a lot of language. Holden Caulfield likes to, I think the F word only shows up once or twice. I forget. He likes to use goddamn a lot. God's sake. Just a lot of stuff like that. It's kind of like a natural thing for him, whatever. But that's his character. So, obviously if you don't like that kind of subject matter, probably not the book for you. But, at the same time, it is subject matter. It's this guy. The book isn't promoting, language. It's just the main character and the way he is, and you kind of get an insight into him like that. So definitely give the book a look. Give the book a look. If you haven't, obviously it's really small. You can read it really fast. But there's just a lot in it, a lot to think about. And like I said, it's my favorite book of all time. So that is that. Thank you guys for watching, and definitely comment in the video. Tell me what you think about the book if you haven't read it. If you have read it, and just leave a like if you like the video, and I will try to make more of these as they go along. So thank you for watching.